Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is teaching us that all life, all matter is interconnected, and that for eons, spirituality and ancient wisdom has been teaching us this truth, that all life is connected. So meaning we are all one. So what you do to another person, you're literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is Awaken to Peace and Joy with Craig Villarrubia. And I believe I said that correctly. Hi, thank you so much, Craig, for being with us. Craig is on the big island of Hawaii, and I'm on the East Coast, so we're 6 hours difference in time, but it's early morning there, it's early afternoon here. But thank you so much, Craig, for being with us today. So please, share with our listeners. I discovered you on YouTube. I discovered your YouTube channel, and as soon as I was like, oh, I gotta invite him on the show, and you said yes, and I'm so thankful.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a joy to be here with you, and to I can't think of anything more joyful than sharing these teachings of love. So thank you.
Yes. And you said it. It's all about that one word, love. That's the truth. Truth, love, oneness, those words are interchangeable. They mean the same thing. Yes. So true. So please, now I have followed you a little bit with your YouTube channel and on your website. So I know a little bit about you, and I've had many guests that have come to their awakening through A Course in Miracles. Many of my dear friends, Dove Fishman, many of my dear friends are teachers of the Course. I personally have not studied the Course, but I resonate completely with the Course. So please share with our listeners your journey, your path, how you got to be where you are today.
Yeah, I think all of us have a desire to be happy. And I, like everybody else, have always wanted to find happiness. And as far back as I can remember, I've always searched for happiness in the ways that we've been taught, that from a child, I remember, going to a good school or picking a career. I remember as a young child, it was always, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I remember that question often being like, what? Like, I have to decide now, like, what, like, it just kind of like, I just remember not really knowing how to answer it. And then answering it, I remember I wanted to be an architect. And so I was going to go to school to be an architect, and I was told, or I learned quickly that life was about growing, becoming an adult and getting married and all that stuff, and having kids and a family. And so as I became an adult, none of that was coming into fruition. I didn't become an architect. I didn't like the classes. I happened to be gay, so it wasn't in the stars for me to get married and have kids. So so I had to reconcile how the way of the world, or the world's definition of happiness, and how that was to be manifested in my experience. I had to reconcile that wasn't working, but I tried really hard.
Right.
And so I looked for it in relationships. I looked for it in money. There were a lot of ways that I've searched out for happiness, but nothing ever works. And I think we all come to a point, or many of us, perhaps not all of us, but many of us come to a point in our life where we realize there's got to be something bigger than this. There's got to be something deeper and more to life. And I want to know what that is. And I want to, I don't want to suffer. I want happiness. And so that really is the start of the search. And for me, that meant learning. I was a hypnotherapist, so I learned about the mind, and I remember being inspired by motivational speakers. And so the journey started off with this learning about the mind and behavior, and then that started to go deeper into what I would say is spirituality, the idea that there is a source, the idea that there's an undefined awareness within us that's not subject to the pain of the world. And at the same time, as I was exploring metaphysics, A Course in Miracles fell in my lap. And the Course is basically a tool. It is a training tool, or a mind training tool, that really, there's 365 lessons. There's a whole textbook with theology, but the lessons are a meditative affirmation, if you will, or training. And what it's really doing is it's withdrawing our attention or investment in our ego, or what we define ourselves to be in this world. So in this world, I see myself as Craig, and I'm a Course in Miracles student and teacher. I'm married. I live in Hawaii. That may be true and relative to this worldly experience that we're having. But there's a deeper truth that the Course talks about, which is I'm an extension of God, or I'm an extension of Source.
Yes.
And by definition, God is omnipotent, eternal, loving, whole. There's nothing that God does not touch. Everywhere, peace, love, joy, every attribute that you can think of what we think of God. And regardless of what our religion is or what our spiritual training is, we can probably agree on many of the attributes of what we think God is. And knowing that we are an extension, or in Christian language we would say a son of God, knowing that we are extension or part of God, we too share in those attributes.
Yes.
And so the journey, in A Course in Miracles, the journey is really a journey back to remembering the deeper truth of who and what we are, which is children of God. We're spirit. We're joined with Source, and we share in those attributes. We share in eternal life. We share in love. We share in omnipotence. But because in this worldly experience, we've been conditioned and adapted this idea that we are separate beings. And that's not to say that that's not the appearance, because there is an appearance. There's an appearance of me sitting over here, and you in New York, and me waking up early, and you having in the afternoon. There's all these appearances, and that's fine. That's beautiful. But beyond that appearance, or deeper than that appearance, is really reality. The appearance is just an appearance. In reality, who and what we are safe and sound. And when we think we are the person, or the separate self that's capable of separating from God, that's capable of separating from love, when we think we're that, then we are subject to the laws of that. In other words, if I think I'm a physical body, and therefore if I think I'm Craig, I am limited to a physical body and to Craig. And guess what? Craig makes mistakes. Craig's not perfect. Craig certainly has a limitation in this world, because he's going to die at some point. Craig hurts. Craig is subject to disease. Now, these are all things that are not part of what are God's attributes. Right. God's not subject to disease. So it must be that who I think I am as Craig is not the full story. That's not to deny the experience that Craig has. Right. It's not to pretend that there aren't things that sometimes, jump out at me as a worry, and I get worried. Or it's not to pretend that, if I have a headache, I may take an aspirin. It's not to pretend that the appearances are not happening, but it's to do self-inquiry and question what I've assumed about who and what I am, so that as I question it, an answer can come through. You know, when we don't question, and we operate only on our assumptions, we don't allow for a widening in our perspective. And that's why the word awaken or awake is so useful, because that's really what it is. It's like we are opening up to a bigger perspective of who and what we are, so that we can see, like you were saying, we're all one. We want to see our connectedness. So once we see our connectedness, once we have an experience of connectedness, then maybe we can let go of the worry. Maybe we can let go of the fear of each other. We can let go of our pretense with each other. We can now embody all of what peace and love and joy is, right? Because peace and love and joy doesn't, there's no pretense in joy and love. There's no fear in love. You can't have it. It just doesn't work. It's like oil and water. Love is absent of fear. And so that's really has been my journey. It's been my desire to find peace and joy. And what I've learned from the course is to take responsibility for my mind and what's going on in my mind. And through these lessons, train my mind to begin to see the world differently. And the course teaching has really changed my life. The worldly life journey is always continually unfolding, So I say that only because it's not like, a lot of times, as I remember for me, as I was going through this journey, or as I still am on this journey, I remember thinking, I'll get to a point in time where it'll be, I'll be enlightened and everything will be perfect. And what I've come to realize is that, and it goes back to what you were talking about. You were talking a lot about the present and now, and the reality is that right now we are enlightened. The question is, are we aware of it?
So true.
And the awareness of it is always going to be right now, where we recognize, this is beautiful. Here we're joining. We come with a common purpose. There's no, you're talking about how, your interviews are basically, you allow them to flow. There's no preset questions. We don't know. I don't know what I'm going to say the next minute. I don't know what your next question is going to be. I don't know if anybody's going to like this interview, but none of that matters.
Exactly.
And see, that's where the joy comes from. The joy comes from letting go of, of our need to think about what the next move is going to be.
Exactly.
Or where the next, what's the next thing to be fearful of?
Yes, so true.
And I realize also, because I don't want to downplay the, the challenges as well. I'm doing this interview at a time where I've just come from being very humbled. One of the things that, for me, I'm learning too is, the point I was trying to make was simply that, there isn't a place and time where one all of a sudden is, free. Happiness is not in the future. So as a spiritual aspirant, I always used to think one day in the future, I will, quote unquote, get it and I will be happy. What I've come to learn is that is not true. It is right here for us with the willingness to be present, and it will make itself known. Happiness is what we are. We just need to remove the blocks. The other piece of it is, for me, that I'm realizing is the nugget of this message, the power of this message doesn't belong to me. So I've recently been through the last couple of months really being humbled because I, Craig, the ego, could see how even in my teaching, there was a sense of ownership as if I knew something. And life is so perfect in the sense that, you know, whenever we think we know something, you know, I know something spiritual, I've come so far, you know, look at me, you know, you know, once,
Yeah.
you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's part of the process. That's how we learn. But what I'm sharing is basically that this is, as long as we're here in this world, it will always be something that, as long as the world appears the way it does, and we're operating as if we're different, separate people, or as long as there's pain in our experience, then there's still healing to be done. Yes. So it's not like it can be checked off the list. It is always going on, and you know, there's a lot of blind spots in our mind. And when I say I was humbled, it was because I didn't realize, for me in my experience, how many still blind spots there are. Mm-hmm. And the willingness to be humble enough to say, you know, give it over to for me, it's, you know, using the Course in Miracles is giving it over to Spirit. For those who are not necessarily Course students, you just giving it over to the universe, giving it over to God, whatever works.
Whatever term, right.
Yeah, it's basically, let me get out of the way and be shown. And so that's what I feel right now. That's kind of what I'm going in deeper with.
Right.
It's just, you know, it's this, you know, it just, you know, the unraveling continues and continues. And that's really the beauty of life here. And what the Course would teach is, you know, that's what this is for forgiveness. Everything's for forgiveness.
Yes.
You know, if I get upset, it's for forgiveness. If it's to teach me something. If I at any point think I'm at the effect of what's happening outside in perception, if I at any moment think that I'm at the effect of it, then that's a signal to me that there's healing or a blind spot in my mind.
So true. That's so true. I resonate 100% with everything you just said. Like I said to you, I am not a student of the Course. I have many dear friends that are teachers of the Course, and I resonate with everything I hear from the Course. I think for me, because actually it's funny you bring this up, because I just had lunch a few weeks ago with a Course student, a Course teacher here locally where I live. And I'm in the Poconos, not New York. We're actually a bedroom community of New York City. Most of my neighbors work in New York. But anyway, I had a conversation, and he actually brought up the same thing about being humble. And what I had shared with him, for me, I identify my body, my personality as Caroline, for me, is something I have, like a car. I'm not my car, but I have a car. So I have an ego, I have a body, I have a personality, but I'm none of those things. They're a part of the whole of who I am, but I am none of those things. There's just something I have. And like you said, for this life experience, those things are going to pass away. But we know there is nothing but eternal life. The core of who I am is a part of Source, a part of God that can never be separated, you know, and it's eternal. So I will leave this experience and have another experience, and another, and another, and another. So that's the part of me, the core of me, that I identify with. So that's why I understand what the humbleness, because like I said, I had a very similar conversation with another Course student and teacher just a few weeks ago here, and I said, for me, I personally, I do not identify with the lower me. I identify with the higher me that knows all, that is awake. And what you said about the now, everything happens in the now. There is no past, there is no future. All there is the now. So you don't find enlightenment in the future. You're either enlightened right now, because that's all there is the now. So happiness, love, joy, peace, all those things exist in every now moment. It's just for us to be aware, for us to open our eyes and see that love, see that peace, see that joy in every moment. And for me, as far as the outer world, I know it's an illusion of my own creation. It is a dream of my own creation. And I can only let the dream affect me if I allow it to. It's like, okay, but I understand these things that you spoke of, pain, hurts, all these, anything that I refer to things as vibration. Everything is energy. Everything vibrates at a frequency. There's lower frequencies and there's higher frequency. I don't try to use the word bad or good or positive or negative anymore, because it is all neutral. It's what we label it. Plus, there are things of a lower frequency that we probably don't want to experience. So to not experience things of a lower frequency, I try to keep myself resonating at a high frequency, because things of a lower frequency cannot touch me if I'm resonating at a high frequency. So I always am thinking, but then not the place, there's no judgment on things of a lower frequency. Because we are all one with God. We are all divine. Some people are, I look at people that I say are not awake like sleeping babies. I mean, what can you do with a sleeping baby but love it? It's so cute. He's cute, he's sleeping. Oh, just love him. Because love is the only thing that can transmute. And we do need all those things that are in our subconscious that are still painful from childhood or even painful from past lives. All those things have to come up so we can transmute them with love. We can look at them and just embrace them with love so they can transmute, and then we can keep moving up. Our vibration can keep rising, because until we deal with what we've kind of buried or kind of pushed aside, you can't push it aside. You have to shine a light of love on all that you're going through, and then know that for me, I know I created it. It's anything I experienced, I created it. So my question is, okay, why did I create that? That's how I deal with everything. Yes. But so true. So true. The thing I love about this show, it gives me the opportunity to speak to people around the world that are awakening and are awake to the truth of who they are. Because once you're awake to the truth of who you are, it eliminates fear and pain and suffering, because all that pain and suffering comes from, the ego mind. That's all. So when you are God, and that's who you are, that's who I am, that's who everyone, when you are God, what does God have to fear? What does God have to be mad at, angry at? Why God doesn't judge. There is no judging. It's all a part of God's creation, so it's all beautiful. So this is amazing. Yes. And I can't wait to get to Hawaii. I'm going to come to Hawaii soon. I've been saying my whole life, I've been wanting to go to Hawaii, so I will be there.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'll be knocking on your door. It's like, what's for dinner? So now, please, you told us how you were searching for happiness, and you came across a Course in Miracles. So how long ago was that? And tell us your journey with that once the book fell into your lap.
When I first read the book or started to read the book, I was actually quite disappointed, because I could not understand anything that I was reading. I would read a page and not know what I just read.
Okay.
I wasn't a fan of the Christian language. So the talk of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, I grew up Catholic. I didn't have great memories. And so I was resistant to the language. So I ended up putting it down, and you hear a lot of these stories within the Course community of this happening, where people put the book down and don't read it, and it ends up sitting around for a long time. And in my case, it sat around I must have moved residences once or twice, and it came with me.
Right.
I had read it. Eventually, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think I heard Marianne Williamson speak, and it inspired me to pick up the course again. And at the time, Marianne Williamson was speaking in LA, and I used to live in LA, and I would go to the lectures.
Okay.
And that would be helpful, because now I can I can hear her use the language in a way that resonated with me. So when we reinterpret, or we allow for a reinterpretation of these symbols of Holy Spirit, Jesus, and so forth, we can look at it differently. And so for me, I began to then open up to this idea, oh, wait, maybe these Christian terms, I've just been looking at it the wrong way. And so at some point, I can't say when, things started to click and make sense. And then through the process of doing the workbook, at a certain point in that process, I had an experience, a revelatory experience that the Course talks about. And that's where it became clear to me that, God is real. And this journey is not accidental. And so there was no need to convince me after that point. I mean, there was always a spark and a faith in me.
Right.
But this was, for me, an experience that, kind of, it's kind of said, you're on the right path. It was an affirmation, or not even an affirmation as much as a symbol of being on the right path.
A knowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. I get you.
And that was it. And at that point, I knew that, really, to the best of my ability, life would be devoted to deeper inquiry. And so I continued with the Course, and that's how the Course became a big part of my life experience. It continues to be a part of my life experience, not in the same way. There was a time in my life where I was very obsessed with it. I would listen to it in my car. I would read it when I get home, at night, in the morning. I'd carry index cards. I would watch YouTube videos. I mean, yes. I was just so obsessed. And it was really the inspiration just kind of keeping me in it. And then as the journey continues,
right,
and you start to realize that also the Course is a stepping stone.
Right. Well, for me, it's fun. I listen, and it's so wonderful. Every guest I've had, and this is the 76th or 77th show, I'm not sure. So I've had 76 or 77 guests, and every one of them I can identify with something. And when you talked about, I was sent to Catholic school from the time I was 5 to the time I was 10. And we never became Catholic, but same thing with you. Now, the Course, I was told about the Course probably, honestly, I can't remember if it was before my awakening to oneness, or I think it might have been before. I was told about the Course. I went to the library and checked it out. Brought it home, had the exact same reaction you had, took it right back to, I don't even think I kept it a day. First of all, the Christian language just didn't resonate with me, because I remember in Catholic school, I had all these questions and nobody can answer. Well, first of all, I was brought up in the 60s, and my father said, children are to be seen and not heard. So I had these questions and couldn't even ask these questions. So when I'm like, no, that's not for me. So I've never, like I said, it didn't, but what woke me up was science, actually. It was what woke me up to the truth of oneness was quantum physics. I'd been studying spirituality off and on for 20 or 30 years, but I was struggling because it was so different from the truth is so different from what we're taught and what we're raised with, what culture and society teaches us. So I struggled, I said, I love what I'm reading, but I'm not getting it. I watched What the Bleep, a quantum physics, and watching that, Marianne Williams, she has been my guest, but Lynn McTaggart said in What the Bleep, the biggest problem in the world is the illusion of separateness. Something woke up. I knew that statement she just said was true. After watching the entire film, I knew that all there is God. There is nothing outside of God. All there is God, and we're all unique, beautiful, holographic parts of God, meaning all that God is, we are. All that we are, God is. One of my favorite quotes is Rumi's quote, you're not a drop in the ocean, you are the ocean in a drop. So all of that, and I got all of that understanding from one documentary, one film. It just inspired my awakening to the truth of oneness. And to me, the truth of oneness is very simple. All there is God. And you and everyone, everything is a part of God. That's not complicated. That's not complicated. But yes, I had the exact same reaction to A Course in Miracles. And I don't know, maybe that's why I haven't picked it up again, but it's all good. Like I said, I resonate with it, and I love it. I love anything that can inspire you to go within, because I believe everything on the outside, like books, teachers, anything on the out, lectures, even videos, documentaries, those things can inspire you to tap into the truth that is within you, because it's about awakening. Not like we know it, we just temporarily have fell asleep and forgot who we are. So, yes. And now, Marianne Williamson is back over here. She's on the East Coast, and she lectures every Tuesday night in New York, and I intend to go see her lecture one of these Tuesdays. Yes. Wow.
I enjoyed going to see Marianne when she was in LA. She's a great speaker.
Yes. Oh, I plan to do it this summer. While I'm, she's, New York is an hour and a half from me. So I just have to get in the car and not drive into the city, though. Park my car in Jersey, take the train over to the city. Yes. So now, how did you end up in Hawaii? Tell us about that.
Well, you just started talking about, you mentioned the word inspiration. Anything that inspires us, is really a portal to coming into our truth. And so that's why a lot of teachings talk about, following inspiration, following your bliss. And inspiration is really a function of spirit, of the Holy Spirit, of love. When we are inspired, we are we become an expression of love. We're happy to do what we're doing when we are inspired. And so as we follow inspiration, what tends to happen is we'll have an inspiration for something, and the mind will then start to think. And it'll say something like, well, you don't have time to do that, or you can't do that, or you're not good enough to do that, or that would be a waste of time, or, it all of us, you feel inspired, and then you don't have enough money. All these thoughts and limitations will come to mind to block us from following inspiration. And so a lot of what the course is about is following inspiration and trusting that voice. And so when I was in LA, my husband and I were thinking about, what we wanted to do with our lives, as far as, I wasn't happy at work. He wasn't happy at work. We knew we wanted to kind of get out of LA and do something different. And we were inspired by the idea of, he comes from a ranching family, so he wanted to, maybe have a ranch, and I wanted to be in a place where I can, devote time to silence and maybe have retreats and so forth. And we basically followed the breadcrumbs. You know?
Right. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you go on vacation and you find this place, and I have a thought, and I feel inspired that maybe this is the place. Well, maybe not yet. Let's check out other places. Okay. Then we end up coming back to Hawaii, and again, you're just following where the inspiration is prompting you. You know, of course, miracles say that's the Holy Spirit's guidance.
Yes.
And we are the Holy Spirit, so it's not like there's something else. It's we are spirit, so it's really our own guidance.
Yes.
And that guidance, led us to Hawaii, and it was clear. And I eventually left my work in LA, and my partner Mike as well, and we found a place, and everything worked. We had to sell our house in LA, and we sold the house the same day we put it up, and
wow,
all the signs, everything was like in place, perfect. And so we ended up here.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been out here we've owned the ranch for about 4 years. We've had retreats out here. I've had plenty of time to be alone and spend it on the ranch and be quiet. And then on that note, also, it's funny because, a lot of times people say, oh, you're in Hawaii, you're in paradise or whatever. And I understand what they mean. And
yes.
Because it's symbolically, paradise on earth, Hawaii.
Yes.
You can imagine beautiful weather and the oceans and the waterfalls. I see beautiful waterfalls behind you.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. Yes. I feng shui.
Yeah.
One waterfalls, a symbol of abundance. Yes. Yes. So I have waterfalls all over. Yes.
So coming to Hawaii, you're coming to paradise. You come to the symbol of heaven, really. It's a
yes.
symbol of heaven. But what you learn quickly after being here is heaven is in the mind.
Yes.
And
so true.
That because although I'm here in Hawaii, the truth is my peace and happiness can't come from this place. It has to be from within. And that lesson has been driven home to me.
Yes.
Being out here, I've had my own challenges and demons that I've had to look at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's perfect because being here has provided me that opportunity. I don't have the distractions that I once did in the city of LA, or I don't have the distractions that would otherwise block the learning lesson.
Yes.
So, being here, there are a lot of learning lessons that have come up. When you're alone on a ranch or in a very rural area.
Yes.
You can't blame traffic. You can't blame other people if you have no other people around you. You start to realize that the attraction to suffering continues. Right. The difference is you're getting mad at the trees and the animals, and, the weather and blah blah blah. So
yes,
it becomes a wonderful place. Hawaii, just as much as any place, becomes a wonderful place to practice again. Forgiveness and self-inquiry and healing. So everything serves, and Hawaii continues to serve as a means of healing.
Oh wow! That's such a beautiful story. I'm in the beautiful Pocono Mountains. I don't know if you've ever been to the Poconos, but I've been here for 26 years, and I was led here by Spirit. It was told I was not awake to oneness. I was not truly spiritually awake, but I have to honestly say, my entire life, I have followed my spirit's guidance. And I call Holy Spirit, higher self, both have the same initials, HS. So my higher self guidance, before I knew to follow higher self guidance, I was following, and higher self definitely led me here 26 years ago. And I feel this is exactly where Spirit wants me to be. I have a vision. My son transitioned about 2.5 years ago, and I founded a nonprofit foundation called the Kyle Foundation, and the Kyle Foundation is going to create a community center. Kyle stands for Keep Your Light Expanding. So I used his name and turned those initials into an acronym. And that the Kyle Center will be a oneness community center here in the Poconos. And Spirit is, like you said, inspiration. All of this is inspiration. And the same night, Spirit told me to start this podcast, which at the time I didn't even know what a podcast was. But the same night, Spirit woke me up in the middle of the night. Just do it. That's what Spirit said. And Spirit said, start the foundation. Do the radio show. Just do it. And that was about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. So I've been, ever since that night, it was January 7th of 2015, when Spirit woke me up and told me just do it. That's how I've been living my life. Spirit tells me to do something, I do it. I have no idea how it's going to unfold, but things unfold just perfectly when you just follow Spirit, follow the inspiration. Don't allow the mind, because I would say, I don't know how to do that. I don't have money to do. Don't allow the mind, because that's what the mind will do. You're not good enough. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough resources. That's what the mind does. That's what the ego mind does. And all I just say, shut up to the ego mind. I love you, but shut up. You know? You have your place, but your place is not to guide my steps. Spirit is to guide my steps, not my ego mind. So that's what I said. I have nothing but love for the ego, but I just don't let it guide my steps. Yes. So wonderful. So now I know where to go when I get to Hawaii. Wonderful. This, it's just amazing. It really is. Even this past Mother's Day. Mother's Day was a few days ago. I've had listeners write me and say, Caroline, you should write a book. And my response to them has been, well, it'll come. I enjoy writing. I've been told I'm pretty good at writing. But doing all that I'm doing with the show and the foundation, and I work with Humanities team, it's so much I'm doing that I'm like, okay, the perfect time for writing the book will come. That came this past Sunday, Mother's Day. I was inspired to start my book, and I did. I started it on Mother's Day. So, yeah, it's all inspiration. So I wait when Spirit says do it, and we all know it, because people will say, well, I don't know what to do. If you really quiet your mind and listen, silence the mind and listen within, Spirit is always guiding. In every now moment, our higher self, Spirit, God, whatever name you want to label, the universe, whatever name you want to label, is guiding you in every now moment. All we have to do is really close our eyes, open our heart, open our mind, and listen. Yes. So that's great. So now I know where to go when I get there. Because I do want to get there soon. Very, very soon. Yes, yes. I am so excited. This is so great. So now I know that you're teaching and you have a show of your own. Please share with our listeners all the different things you're doing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I've been doing these YouTube videos recapping some of the workbook lessons.
Mm-hmm.
But, one of the things that I found that was happening in my experience is, and you started to talk about it a little bit, about how, we can get very busy in a lot of things. So I started this YouTube doing reviews of the course lessons. But what I found is there will be times where I don't want to do it.
Okay.
Not because there's anything wrong with it, but because it just wasn't inspired.
I got you.
And that was happening also with writing. Like, I felt compelled to have to write a blog every week or whatever. Or even with quotes on my Facebook page, I would put A Course in Miracles quotes. And it's not to say that there was anything wrong with it, not to say that I won't do it again. But what I am saying is I've also, within the last couple of months, have allowed myself not to do anything. Yeah.
Yes.
And you look at the thoughts that sometimes come up because they, oh my God, people expecting you to do it, or you're gonna lose viewership. No one's gonna watch it. You won't get as many likes, or and then people will send them sweet messages and
Yes.
when are you doing this, or and it's great. So to answer your question, right now I've been very spontaneous, so I just do it when I'm inspired to. But there's a lot of stuff that I have on YouTube. There's a movie. I made a documentary.
Yes, please share about that, because I saw that. Go ahead, share about your doc.
Basically, when I was coming into the course, and I just got to a point where it's just I wanted to speak to anyone who would talk to me, who had walked down this path with the course. So there were a few course teachers that I had come to learn about on YouTube and social media that I needed to meet. And I had read Gary Renard's book, The Disappearance of the Universe, and I wanted to meet. And I thought, well, how do I meet all these teachers? And I thought, well, making a documentary would be a good excuse to interview all of them.
Right.
So I did. I picked up a camera, and I ended up touring and traveling to meet different course teachers that I had found through the internet and so forth. And they were really a beautiful joining, because they were really coming to help me, help me understand the course, help me accelerate my my understanding, if you will. So the story is about my travels with interviewing these teachers, and then simultaneously I was dealing with what I wanted to do in regards to move to Hawaii.
Okay.
So here I am, is having this inspiration to move to Hawaii, but kind of not sure of how it was going to work, a little fearful, and then getting all these spiritual teachings.
Right.
And so what you see in the documentary is really the character of Craig kind of coming into his own interpretation of the course and taking his own steps to following inspiration and following guidance.
Yes. And the name, share with our listeners the name of the documentary. Go ahead.
Sure. It's called A Course in Miracles, Enlightenment or Bust, because it was really a search for enlightenment.
Okay.
And they can go to acimdocumentary.com or my website to get more information about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Very much. Thank you. And I did share that ebook from your site. I shared it on the page on my site with everyone, so they have your ebook as well. Yes. But I understand exactly what you mean about getting busy and then not feeling inspired. Because last year, 2016, I got really, really busy, and I kept hearing Spirit say to me, balance. Meaning I was focusing on one area of my life, but not other areas of my life. And all last year, I could hear Spirit telling me, stay balanced, stay balanced, stay balanced. And I kind of ignored Spirit about staying balanced. But this year, starting 2017, I went back into being balanced. I started eating healthier. I started working out daily. I started, taking more time for me. Because you talk about you were saying about, not feeling inspired, but sometimes it's just making sure that we're being first. Meaning, make sure that you're in alignment with your higher self before the action. So no matter how much we have to do, don't take a step at the doing before being. So that's what I've really grounded myself in this year. And I've gone offline dark all weekend. Like, people can't get a hold of me on a Saturday or Sunday. It's like, no, weekends I think I'm going to take for me. I'll go to the woods. I'll go to the lake. I'll meditate, because I know it's not about the doing. It really isn't. In this society, it's all about do, when it's not. It's about be first, and then your actions will be inspired. So when you work from inspired action is so much more precious and so much more valuable than just the doing. So yes,
Yeah, yeah.
that is so true, so true. But like I said, with the book, I knew one day I would write a book, but I didn't know when. But Spirit woke me up Mother's Day and said, it's time. And so it's like, okay, I'm not arguing. I'm to the point in my life, I don't argue with Spirit at all. And when Spirit, you know it when it's telling you to do something. And I've done, a lot of times, most of the times, I don't know why or how it's going to turn out. But I just do it. And that's another thing that blocks most people. Because if Spirit, they know Spirit is saying, do this, but they're like, but how is this going to work out? They want to know the how is this going to work out before they take the first step. But Spirit is not going to show you the next step until you take the first step. So, yes. So right now you're at a place in your life where you're just going with the flow, which is great, which is amazing. So yeah, and it's funny you were saying about the numbers. Half the time, I don't even look at how many people have watched my shows, have listened, because what happens is now when I do like a video podcast like this one, I'll take the video, upload it to YouTube, and I'll take the audio and upload it to Blog Talk Radio so people can listen or watch. They have their option. And so there's numbers on both, Blog Talk Radio, there's numbers on YouTube. Half the time I don't look, and I think a few months ago I just said, let me take a peek, and I was like really surprised at the numbers. I was like, oh wow. It reminds me of who was that actress at the Oscar? And she won an award. She won an Oscar, and she was like, "They like me." Sally Fields was it? Yeah. So it's almost like that when I did look at the numbers, and then I get some wonderful emails from all over the world, and all of that. It's just because I said if I can inspire one person to just go within, because I don't call myself a teacher. My goal is to inspire a person to just go within and tap into that truth within them and live their truth, whatever that truth is. It doesn't have to be my truth. They don't, it's their truth, and it can only be found within. So, okay, so you don't have any, nothing coming up as far as your teaching schedule or anything of that nature?
Well, in 3 weeks, I think June 4th, I'm giving a talk here at the New Thought Church in Hawaii. So if anybody's listening to this and who's on the big island of Hawaii,
okay,
I'll be there June 4th. And then next year, the information is not yet confirmed. But we are well, there's two things actually. Thank you for reminding me.
Okay.
I'll be in San Francisco for the Course in Miracles conference in February of next year.
Okay.
And that'll be a lot of fun because that'll be a lot of course students and teachers. I think there are about, 20 or something presentations, maybe more.
Okay.
Most of the course teachers who are active in the course community will be there. So it's great for people who are new to the course. They get to meet all these different teachers and kind of see, who resonates and what teaching resonates with them. And I know for me, it's been helpful when I've gone. So I'll be there and I'll be presenting with Corinne Zupko. We also have miracleshare.org, which is a social website for students and teachers of A Course in Miracles.
Okay.
To share, and that is miracleshare.org. It's a nonprofit organization that helps extend the teachings of A Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I was started off saying was it's not confirmed yet, but we are in the process of planning another Happy Dream retreat. We did one in LA.
Okay.
This time we're thinking about doing it in Hawaii. So stay tuned for my on my website. It'll definitely go up there when it is confirmed. But we're looking to do a retreat out here in Hawaii for next
Oh, I will. I'll definitely keep an eye out for that, and because, well, now, okay, I think I haven't shared with my listeners what I've been up to, and I think I'm going to share. And this all started again. It's spirit guiding me. March of this year, for March, the 1st of March this year, Spirit said it's time to do more. Spirit says it's time to start hosting live events. From that inspiration, and when Spirit told me to do this, I had no idea how it was going to unfold, and it is unfolding beautiful. In 2 months, this has all come together. We'll be launching a new website this week. There's now an alliance. It's a global oneness alliance that is formed called Universal Oneness Alliance. It's so new, I got to remember the name, but it's an organization that is coming together with myself, Awake to Oneness Radio, Unity, Universal Unity, and Awaken to Our Truth. These are the 3 organizations that are coming together to host our first live event in Victoria, Canada, on September 3rd. We have the venue, so it's set, and we will be launching our website. And the wonderful thing about this event, it's a small venue. We can seat about 200 people, and it's going to be in Victoria, Canada, which is great because that's close to Seattle. So we're, people from the States can come join us live. But we're also going to live stream this event. So if you can't make it to Victoria, Canada, we are live streaming this event. And I was kind of waiting till we actually launched the website before I shared this, but I'm inspired now to share it with my listeners. And matter of fact, by the time this show airs, the website should be launched. So it's good to share it now. We're pre-recording, so this is not live. We're pre-recording. So by the time this show will air on Friday night, by Friday afternoon, the website should be launched. So, yes. So remember, Universal Oneness Alliance. So I felt bold enough to share that now. But I said it's spirit. It's just spirit is doing all of this. This was not me at all. I just took the first step, and spirit did everything else. Brought all the 3 of us, the 3 organizations together. Everything I know nothing about Victoria, Canada. How am I planning an event in Victoria, Canada? I'm like to spirit, how? Just do it. And that's like, okay. I don't argue anymore. And it's all coming together so beautifully that when things come together so beautifully like that, it's spirit. So the only thing to do is get out the way and let spirit do it. Get the ego mind out of the way and let spirit do it. So this has been so wonderful. Please share again with our listeners how they can find you, your website, so they can look you up and find you and follow you. And I'm going to try to get to Hawaii to that retreat.
Beautiful. Yeah, certainly Facebook is a great way to connect with me. Craig Villarrubia, my website, craigvillarrubia.com. I've been having fun with Instagram. You can follow me there. But the website would probably be the best place to connect and find out what I'm doing, craigvillarrubia.com.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a beautiful, beautiful time. Thank you, Craig. And I do.
Thank you for doing what you do and extending the joy. And I feel your inspiration, and I'm with you. And just want to say thank you. A lot of gratitude.
Well, thank you. And I look forward to getting to Hawaii just to give you a big hug.
Yeah.
That would be fun. That'll be fun. Well, thank you so much. Much, much love. And you enjoy the rest of the week. And namaste. Namaste.